Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to, that's hot. Welcome to another sit around on my butt and live stream stuff from my ever failing phone session. Woot, 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 woot. Hopefully the internet connection is pretty good and you guys can hear me. Honey, I'm talking to the internet. You don't need to freak out. It's okay. Everything's fine. So, I'll be getting to a few of your questions and interacting with you guys in a bit. But first, I wanted to talk about the things that I mentioned in the title. Three things, actually. First of all, monetization. The I had deleted monetization a while ago on my channel, and all the videos going forward were no longer monetized because I wasn't making any money off of them anyways. And by watching them on other people's accounts, I noticed that there was just like, 3 ads on one video, and I was making nothing off of that, or next to nothing. And it was really irritating to sit through. So I just said, well, this is like cheaper than my cell phone bill. Why don't I just delete this and then I'm good to go? However, as soon as I did that, I started noticing that I was getting less views. I was especially getting less subscribers, so I wasn't being recommended anymore, like at all. And actually, I went from making usually about 200 new subscribers every month down to making less than zero. So I was losing 10, 15 subscribers a month, which, I mean, like, you lose a little bit in atrophy or accounts being closed or people just not being interested anymore, cleaning out their subscription box. That's fine. But the fact that I wasn't gaining anything, like, I mean, for most YouTubers, just to like stay still on engagement, you have to be gaining like a significant percentage of subscribers. I wasn't even doing that. And then as soon as I put ads back on my videos, it shot right back up again. Now I'm back to like 200-300 new subscribers in the less than month. So I don't know what that's about. I think it is mostly YouTube just prioritizing things that make them money. It's a business model, I suppose. I don't think that I'm big enough for them to personally look at my account or anything like that. I think it's just like a robot thing. So I don't think it's not very personal. Who would phone call me in the middle of my live stream? Anyways, so that's monetization. So I am putting the ads back on. I highly suggest that you put an ad blocker on them. I'm not making any money off of it, really. I don't. It doesn't help me really in any, like, your view. If I was getting like, say, 40 or 50,000 views a month, I would be making less than $50 a month in ad revenue. So those are like optimistic numbers. I usually make less than that, so it's not great. I'm sad to hear of that because it just means that the burden falls on Patreon and on sponsored content to fill that gap. And yeah, that's anyway. I ad block YouTube. I highly suggest you do the same. And yeah, that's it for that. Now I'm going to share a little bit about COVID-19 and the situation here, just for some of you who are curious. It doesn't really change that much about my life here. I'm in a pretty isolated place as it is. It's affecting people in the cities a lot. Like, it's really affecting Melly's lifestyle in the city a lot. And it's, a real bummer that way. It's going to kill so many people, and it's awful. But like, to my lifestyle, like, I make a good chunk of my money off of YouTube, off my patrons. That's not changed. I also work on my own on a boat, like on an island, on the outskirts of another island, on the outskirts of the mainland. Like, I'm really far removed from everything. So it's just, it hasn't changed that much in my lifestyle. I do still work at the food bank. We've really limited our exposure there. We have separate shifts. People don't interact with one another, just in case one shift gets sick, because it is an essential service. Like, if you think it's hard for you to get groceries right now, just imagine for the people that can't even afford them in the first place, how much harder this all is, right? So it's a really big deal that we are able to keep running the food bank. I'm still working there. I'm still doing the food bags. So we're still giving food out, and we're still also doing to-go food. We're preparing some meals and giving them to go. But like the levels of which we go to not expose that client base to COVID is like it's pretty intense. My boss is very, very careful with this stuff, and for some of the guys, like they come in, they're a little, they're conspiracy theory minded. Let's just say it's quite the abrupt change for them to like deal with the food bank now, where it's totally changed. But the advantage to that is that we keep getting to do it, which is really big. So I hope that they stick with us, that the community sticks with us and keeps donating, and that the food bank's able to keep doing its thing. And I'm not going to stop working there at any point. Unless I show symptoms or am confirmed of being a non-symptomatic carrier or anything like that, I'm going to keep doing that because I think it's very, very important. Other news, other work I do on the island, like I do some work for just like yard work and other like outdoor stuff. Most of that is slowed down, but most of my clients I work for, they're like older and retired. Their income hasn't changed at all due to this. So for them, they can still pay me to do work, which is great for me, and it's great for them. I'm able to like go do other things that they might not want to put themselves at risk for, like a liquor store run or stuff like that. So I've been doing a bit of that. I've also been doing just like outdoor yard work, like far away from everybody, so we're not interacting physically with anybody, and I'm also able to like wash the equipment I use, and that's it. That's like the only things that have really changed. I already only go into the village like once or twice a week. I haven't been off this island in like 2 months, so yeah, it's just not. I gotta have to do a trip to the island maybe sometime to Nanaimo, but like I'm putting it off as long as I can. So that is that. That's how much COVID has changed. That's how much monetization changed. Oh, the third thing that I forgot to do. Oh. Okay. So on one of my most recent videos, I was sponsored by Jord. They sent out this watch. In the link to that video that I told you guys to click, because they're dealing with their own thing, their marketing got pushed way to the back burner, and my emails didn't get answered, and I didn't get a code activated. Code is now active. I put it in the video description here. If you want to enter that competition, that the giveaway for the watch, you don't have to get this watch, which is pretty damn dope, and I do suggest it because it is made out of coffee and epoxy, two of my favorite things. If you enter the giveaway, you can put that $220 towards any of their watches. So they have quite a few watches that are under $220, and so that opens up quite a few options for you. If you don't like this particular one, or you want one of their wooden watches, those are also really cool. But if you don't end up winning that watch, you need, by the way, that's in US dollars. I just saw someone ask if it was Canadian dollars. It's US dollars. But it's how their websites, so you'll go to the website, you'll see. Anyway, if you don't end up winning, it's okay, because you still get $50 off one of their watches, and some of them are pretty affordable, so $50 is a significant amount there. They need 50 entries. So if 50 of you enter, the giveaway happens, and they just keep me in the loop. So stoked for Jord for sending this out. Thank you so much. You'll probably see it in a few other social media posts coming up. Now that I actually have the proper link, I'll be posting more about this watch just a bit. And hopefully you guys win a sick watch. One of you is walking away with it. Last time, I can't remember her name. Anyways, last time one of my viewers won it and gave it to her husband as a gift. So also a great gift idea. So that's it for what I have to say. Honestly, that's all it is. Now let's answer some questions. I'm going to pick this thing up, scroll all the way down to the beginning, and just read off some questions. Oh, wow. I'm noticing that a lot of people are stoked at the progress, and I knew this was going to happen. The progress has been pretty linear, guys. It's because the paint really changes the look of a boat. But the progress, like the work was always there. Work was always happening. It's just, paint's a big step only because it changes the look so much. So Fantastic Calamity expresses his solidarity on demonetization. I would suggest that, given what I've experienced, just my personal experience, that you do monetize again. It's their platform. You got to play by their rules, I guess, and that sucks. And yeah, Smitty A is saying the same thing. Yeah, basically they bury non-monetized accounts. And that makes total sense because that's their stream of income. And money and business is good, baby. Anyway, yeah, I had to learn that one the hard way, so everyone is figuring that one out. Yeah. So Robert Webster wants to know what the topside color is going to be. Well, Robert, I'm at a bit of a turning point on that one. Let me show you. Okay, that's the hull color. That's the hull color. Where is it? There it is. Originally, I had planned for this color called Bristol Beige. It's a very like traditional, is a good word, nostalgic. And I didn't want my boat to look too weird and modern, since it's already going to look weird and modern. There's not much I can do about that. But I did want to have a bit of a natural look. However, I just painted my boat today on the interior with some of this. This is Hatteras Off-White, Hatteras Off-White. It's a little bit less of a yellow color, more of a white color. I painted just this section like inside the electrical cabinet, and down here on the floor I put one coat. This was just an old can that was sitting in the back of the shipyard. I got it for free, so I just thought, oh, I need to paint some of these electrical things before I finish wiring them all. I like the color. I think that because this one's old, it's not performing as well as my new paints did when I did the bedside on the exterior of the vessel. But we'll see on second coat, because I really didn't like the way it looked at first when I did first coat. It's not until the second coat that it really starts looking good. So I'm looking at a beige, an off-white. I don't like white boats. I don't like white on a boat. I think it's easy to make it look gross, and it doesn't look like it has very it just doesn't look very like it has a lot of character, you know what I mean? Okay, so looking at here, yeah, we got some more. How much needs to be done before you can paint the top side? Not too much. I've got one section of rot still because a beam is in the way. So let's see, in order of events that need to happen, some sanding on the glass that's there, some fairing on a lot of it, more sanding and fairing. I need to secure the beam on the front of the third beam in, get that one bolted in and secured, and then lift the second aftmost beam, fix the rot, glass, fair, prime, and then paint. So honestly, if I focused on just those things, it won't take too long. I think I could probably square off a good chunk of them in one episode. But the truth be told, I'm finishing off the bathroom right now because today it rained like 9 times. So the weather's still jumping back and forth between sunny and rainy. It doesn't show up in the videos as much because I'm always filming whenever it's nice. I don't film the rain very often. So anyway. Okay, so let's answer some more questions. In the naked, love the cats, looking good, looking good, looking good. How is Honey? Honey, how are you? Are you doing well? Are you a good girl? Are you? Do you want to talk to everybody? Do you want to come here? Are you a good girl? You're a good girl. All right. Honey is doing great. I had to put her out the window today instead of out the door. She didn't like that very much. So, Jake B wants to know if I like boat life better than van life. I do now. I didn't at first. Let's put it that way. It was a lot nicer in the van, especially in the winter times going through the deserts. It was just amazing. But I was spending $1,400 a month just on gas traveling around. I mean, obviously, if I stayed put more, it wouldn't cost anywhere near as much, but that's a lot of boat parts. So, yeah. Nodak Johns wants to know if I'm still working at the marina. I am still working at the marina. They don't have very much work for me right now. Boats are kind of a luxury good for many folks. So they've been keeping busy enough to keep the core employees employed, but some of us on the outskirts haven't been getting very many hours. So Dan Polhill wants to know if I miss Degnan Bay and the people there. Well, I do miss like having Captain Mike right nearby, but he left the water before I did. He left Degnan Bay before I did. So I still see everybody else regularly. Well, not so much anymore with the whole COVID thing, but I was until very recently seeing them all and going down there regularly. But now I guess I do. I miss them a bit. Yeah. Smitty A wants to know if I will work on the deck this summer and add the rear door. Actually, Smitty, I was just measuring out and cutting some lumber for the aftmost beam and just figuring out what material I have and what I'm missing. So yeah, it's coming up very soon. I think I just need to go buy one more 4x6 and I'll have and like get all my galvanized bolts and then I'll be ready to go. So yeah, it's coming real soon. Burt Reynolds mustache wants to know at what point are you going to require people to call you Captain Simon? I'm never going to be Captain Simon. It's 100% Captain Honey because when you're a captain, yeah, it's you, Captain Honey. You're Captain Honey. When you're a captain, you've always got one foot in jail. I don't want to be that guy. I'll be, first mate. I'll be deckhand. I'll be whatever else you want. I'm not being captain. And honestly, I don't care to make the decisions either. It's a lot of responsibility. How do you plan on finishing off the upper corners of the front window frame into the roof? That's a good question. So that's from GJ Fuentes. I've had a really hard time kind of figuring that out because my mast design has changed, or my mast plans have changed several times. As it stands right now, I put it on the back burner, but I really ought to get that closed in sooner rather than later. Luckily, we're moving into some dry months, so it's not so much of a big problem. Like I'm able to heat my boat as it is right now. I've got just some insulation shoved in there, but like, yeah, we need to figure it out. But it really depends on what the masts are going to look like. And I've flip-flopped on this a few times. I mean, I've gone into, there's like retractable masts, inflatable like sail wings. There's giant wind turbines. There's junk sails, wing sails. There's Marconi sails. There's so many options out there. So I just like I've gotten millions and millions of suggestions. I've also dove into some pretty wild corners of the internet to research this. Just haven't made up my mind yet, and I think it's going to come down to availability and just what I'm able to get. If I end up finding like amazing aluminum poles, that would be awesome. But I have no idea where to get those. And I've been jumping around and asking everyone I can ask and trying to find junkyards and metal shops and municipality supply depots and all kinds of stuff. All right. So I just don't know yet. Sorry. Are you going to do some kind of non-slip at the top of the deck or teak? Jake B wants to know. I'm definitely not doing teak. I might do some non-slip. What I might also do is do little strips of non-slip, and also pair it with flexible solar panels in the decks as an auxiliary power system. Um, I'm also looking at like epoxy, or not epoxy, but a kind of clear UV stable coating that I can put texture into, that I can put on top of solar cells, so that I can still get the best of both worlds, like grip and solar power. But that's big ask, so I don't know. We'll see. How many bags of full dressed and ketchup chips do you keep in the cargo hold? I don't keep that many bags. Honestly, I buy it especially because people are coming by, especially Americans. I don't actually. It's kind of unhealthy. Here's the problem. I lack self-control. If 2 bags of chips show up on my boat, you can guarantee they'll be gone 48 hours later. Scott Winters wants to know if the boat has a name. Yes, she's called Old Dog. Okay. Hatteras off-white, same color as my boat's top side and hull sides. Dave Scopey says, yeah, well, yeah, so this is the first time I've been introduced to this color. I'm happy. Oh, all right. Let's see. Okay, we got more questions. I'm just digging here. What's the plans with the drive shafts on the boat? Any news on how to do it? I'm curious how they look funny looking. I've had some problems with the drive shaft recently. The motors that I got, and I'll get into it in a bit in one of my videos, but basically I asked HPEV if they could send me just a faceplate for it, and they told me no, I need to buy a whole new motor to get one with a 7/8 drive shaft. They also said, yeah, just like if I wanted to get a water cooled, same thing, they wouldn't do it. So basically, I'm trying to build. I was originally going to put it through its original crankcase to differential to pulleys to gearbox to drive shaft to second gearbox under the water. It's just that's a lot of gearboxes, and that's a lot of wasted energy. So I started looking at the possibility of taking. So the nice thing is that the top gearbox on that drive shaft is just a cage with 6 plates on it, right? Some of the plates are like really big to mount the diesel engine onto. Other plates just have or just a plate with a bearing housing in it. So I was looking at that and like repurposing some of the plates to make it into a bearing housing for the motor, and then fitting an adapter that would spline on one side into the female coupling of the electric motor, and then slide onto the drive shaft coming up the bottom, remove the gear bevels, and then just have the motor directly on that drive shaft and only have one gearbox underneath. So I haven't made a video on that, mainly because I haven't got the opportunity to open all of that up and have a full plan yet. I also wanted to gather a few more materials, like some bronze stock, and try and find a place to machine it all. So I'm gonna work on that as soon as I have all my ducks in a row and know that I'll be able to actually get it done in one episode, which is really hard for me to do. I almost never get that done. Are you still putting electric motors? Yeah, I'm still putting electric motors. Did you see Sailing Zingaro's cat? I was heartbroken for them. I must have missed that one, Bob. I'll have to dig into it. Sorry. Jay Marshall. Hey, Jay. Wants to know how Vern is. Vern is on his boat. I'm working busily on it. He's got a lot of electrical to sort out because that boat was partially submerged. He hasn't fired up the engine yet, but he's seen it run, so he knows that it's runnable. He just wants to make sure. And, him, it's like he puts away at it every day. He works at it, chips away at it every day. He's a guy who wakes up and watches YouTube and then gets to work every single day. So he's gonna get it done eventually, but it's like he fiddles with like little bits and getting the bilge pump just right and getting this just right. Does it carefully and slowly, but he gets it done right. Dan Polhill. Yes, sorry. Danny Polhill wants to know if I've used different epoxy brands and do I have a preference. I have used a few in little bits here and there. I had to use what do you call it? The one everyone uses. Jesus, I can't remember the name of it. I should have more coffee. There's like a brand that everyone uses that's just everywhere. You guys are probably saying in the comments, but I haven't caught up with all the comments right now. Anyway, I've used a few other ones. Basically, what it comes down to is I had lots of bubbles in some. I had issues where I had to use the special equipment on others. And I'm really a huge fan of Old Timers Industries epoxy because it's so forgiving. Its temperature doesn't have to be perfect. The mix doesn't have to be perfect. The tools don't have to be perfect. I mean, I rolled my favorite tool right now is like a freaking paint roller. You know, like nobody's making stuff with paint rollers and epoxy, you know, but it works so well with stuff. And I'm a huge fan. So if you do need to do some epoxy stuff, Old Timers Industries, 100% recommend. That's not just because they give me a good deal. They're actually great. Scott Federo wants Fedorio. That's a great last name. Wants to know how you can help me best with my endeavors. I'm not going to be taking any. Okay, I'm going to fix that. I'm not going to be taking any like helpers on board because of this COVID thing. So, which is fine because the only person who's coming out, who's scheduled to come out, is Ole, and I still talk to him all the time, so he knows what's up. We've been chit chatting back and forth. Basically, I get a lot done on my own. It's a little like it's a bit of a bummer that I can't have people out, and so I can't. I also it's like it's kind of hard to host people on board a vessel when you never know if the bathroom's gonna be working, if the shower's gonna be working, if the washing machine's operational, food storage, blah blah blah. There's lots of like variables there. So in a way, it's a load off my back because it's simpler to like plan everything. But it's also a huge bummer because it's one of the things I love the most is having you guys out and working with you. One thing that is going to come to a change. SV Seeker, who was selling the challenge coins, sent me the leftovers. I finally got some. So for all of you who have come out and helped me on my vessel, I'm going to be sending these to each and every one of you. And for those of you who have been major supporters on Patreon, I'll be sending some to you guys as well. So yeah, I shouldn't say major. Basically, if you've supported me on Patreon, if you're supporting me on Patreon, I'll be sending out these coins to you as a big thank you. It's a limited run. We're not getting these again. That's it. So yeah, they're it's just cool that I have my name on a coin. That's freaking cool. And I love the old dog. Like, look at that. That's so cool. Anyway, they look like they're golden coins. They're they're not actual gold. Not actual gold. Sorry. So yeah, if you do want to help me out, Patreon is the biggest way. PayPal links are there too. I'm going to be working. There's a few of my patrons who are home automation experts. So I'm consulting with them and like figuring out the home automation stuff because I don't know anything about it and I've got a lot to learn. I've just been diving down the deep end. I'm also consulting with Leo a lot about fishing. So we're gonna be fishing a lot sooner rather than later. So I'm excited for that. Just other little bits of consultation. I do a lot of that through my Patreon because it helps me. Like it's got good communication as opposed to YouTube, which hides messages now, and I just don't get any of it. So yeah, Patreon's a good way. Even if you don't support me, I think you can still send me a message there. So. Any good sailing TikToks lately? You know, not enough people are on TikTok. I've got an account now. I might start posting. I'm definitely not going to be doing dances. You know, I'm not going to jump through those hoops. But I think it's a cool way to like, um, I don't know, just it's a cool format. Short videos. I like those. And I didn't jump on Vine at the time, and I regretted it ever since because I thought that was a cool format too. And YouTube's got its place. I'm always going to be a YouTuber, but I don't know. I like the idea of like creatively thinking about like a really short video and getting across a message or a joke or even just an experience. You know, so I like that. Stories are fun, but they're live, and I put them on Instagram all the time. So you guys can check those out if you follow me on Instagram. You can see like the live what I'm actually doing. Um, Okay, so let's see. I don't see any more question marks. A lot of statements, very nice statements. How's the Ford doing now? Oh, the truck is doing great. I've checked the repair like obsessively because I feel like if you fix it in a gravel lot with a hammer and a vice grip or in a C clamp, you know, it's probably not going to last. But it's lasting, and I mean, she's an island truck. It is what it is. More importantly, we should get that motorcycle done so I can put it on a road and stop driving around a big old truck and enjoy the motorbike. Um, oh man, there's a lot of champ love in this comment section right now. You guys are huge. I'm at a point now where I can look back on it and like I miss him a lot and I'm happy and it just like I can watch my old videos and I enjoy them. I enjoy seeing him and that's recent, man. Because like up until not too long ago, I couldn't even watch them without crying. I was really still felt fresh like a year afterwards. So yeah. Mr. Jeepster wants to know if I'm concerned with the flexing section between the two hulls. I am. It's a big concern. My only workaround is the design I'm going with, and I've been building like I even built some models on my computer to like test it, but I can't really. You never know what the ocean's going to throw at you. So I wanted to devise if like I have a catastrophic failure of this floor, I want to devise backup systems that would allow me to keep the ship running. I also want to put on some new ways of like bolting everything down. Man, this wood stove is just it's really hot right now. All right. Yeah, Leo wants to know, wants me to send him some. I'll send you some pictures and I'll send you some measurements and stuff. Leo, I think I'm going to be able to. My boss has like a mini lathe at his home shop, and we've got some metalworking equipment in the shop here. I would really like to be able to learn how to do machining while I build this. I think it's really just going to be like a hole in a plate, weld on. I know. Okay, it's technical talk. It's really boring. I'm sorry. I'm going to weld like a fitting for a bearing, and then the only thing else is going to be basically just a shaft that's got a coupling kind of built into it. So I can feasibly take a large stock of steel and turn it down on a lathe. So really, it'd only be about like 3 parts. So shaft, bearing, and modified plate. So if that turns out to be the option, it should be simple enough that I should be able to sort it out here. Your paws are so dirty. Look at this. What are those? What are those? What are those? Oh my god. Yeah. No, 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 no. No inside mouth kisses. I don't like that. Hey, BK Brawler wants to know when my sister's coming back to help me. That's a very good question. When is she? She told me that I needed to make sure the trampolines were built, and then she'd come out. So, oh yeah, there we go. There we go. I finally caught up to the comments where everyone said West System, West System, West System. Yeah. I use West System, and what they say with West System, with epoxies in general, is based on their experience on West System. When you see people talk about it on YouTube, uh, honestly, I don't think they make a good product. I think they make a very finicky, hard to work with product. I had bubbling issues. I had like it cooked off of my hand once. You know, all these like temperature sensitivity. It was way worse, way harder, I should say. You're probably just sweating. That's why you're here. I'll just take this off. Anyway, I found it a lot harder to work with West Systems epoxy. I also used some other off-brand epoxies in the past. I even tried to fix a surfboard way back in the day with some epoxy. Maybe it was just more because I sucked back then. But all right. When you die, should we fiberglass you and float you in Degnan Bay? If so, how many coats do you need? Oh man, it depends on the fiberglass, obviously. You know, if it's epoxy fiberglass and, 6 ounce of cloth, I'll be good for good. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I'm just gonna brush all this sand off my lap. Thank you for that. You wanna come up here? Come on up here. Hey, honey. There's nothing down there. Come here, up here. Good girl. There we go. Okay, let's go answer some more comments. All right. Thanks for the epoxy info. West System motorcycle trip. Dan Potta wants to know about the motorcycle trips. I was planning on heading south. I was planning on going to America and seeing my fellow boat builders and stuff like that. I don't know now. I'm not sure. If this COVID ends up being a long haul thing, I might go north. It might be dumb, but I might want to just take a sport bike and go all the way up to the Arctic Ocean. That'd be really cool. There are a few issues with that, like carrying enough fuel and stuff, but I don't know. Like, I would really like to go up to Liard Hot Spring again. I think that was the best hot spring I've ever been to in all my life, and it was something else. It was amazing. So that would be a cool idea. I'm flat out of ideas, honestly. This whole pandemic has thrown all my ideas into a blender. Okay. Were you able to sort out the leaks from the last video in the new water system? Do you have a regulator in the system? I don't have a regulator yet, other than the ones like built into the pump for pressure. And I'm down to just one leak, and it's at the washing machine. I epoxied a fitting, and epoxy was a poor choice, but I didn't have any other glue on board at the time. So anyway, I think I'm gonna have to go to the hardware store and get a new set of fittings, and then use a different glue that's more resilient. Okay. If you missed anything I talked about, there's a few questions here that I'm starting to see that are just repeats of before. The video gets automatically archived as soon as I'm done this live stream. This coffee pot is really full and really hot and really. I'm just gonna put it down here. Anyway, so you'll be able to rewatch and you'll see that I've answered most of these questions that I'm seeing right now. Okay, or I think you can rewind a live stream right as it is. Okay. So, question: how does the 7.3 start in the cold Canada weather? Oh, my engine, the Ford. Pretty good. I went through a battery this winter, but I used another like hand-me-down from Simon at the shipyard, old beat-up battery. Bought it for like $20 or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't start great, but it doesn't like smoke or anything like that. Like once you just gotta wait a long ass time for the heat plug to go off, and then yeah, and then it just fires right up. But toe cutter. Oh yeah, I saw that comment, Dave. Calling the motorcycle toe cutter. She's already got a good name, like a hurricane. You know what I mean? If you're a sailor and you own a motorcycle called a hurricane and a little sailboat called a tornado, I just think that's kind of cool. Anyway. Okay. How long have you been working on the boat already? It has been. This is Odd Life Crafting wants to know. I've seen some of your videos. Wants to know. Let's see. I got here October, like so it's 2 years, 2.5 years, pretty much exactly. 2.5 years. Can you please work the entire boat and give us? I can't. The old German Steel wants to know if I can walk the entire boat right now and give you a tour. I can't, mainly because A, it's a disaster in here, and B, there's a lot of wet paint, so I can't actually walk in a lot of sections of this boat right now. It reeks of paint fumes, so as soon as this is done, we're going to be out on deck doing some work because the sun's come back out. But yeah, so no tour today, I'm afraid. Oh, now here comes all the comments for Honey. Why don't you do super chats where someone can donate during live streams? Is that something you guys want me to do? I can do that. I mean, I'm not averse to funding this project in any way I can, but yeah, I don't know. Just it never felt like I had enough followers to justify Super Chat, because Super Chat was like, the main thing is it allows your comment to rise above others, but like there's only so many comments on my videos, so it's not really a big deal. Honey here is 8 years old. Sorry, that's Dan wants to know how old Honey is. Honey, she doesn't look it, but she's 8 years old, and we love an old dog, so it's great. Okay. You may have answered this, but why is the front windows past the cabin? What does that mean? Front windows past. Well, it's not. Anyway. Brian Durant, what the temperature? It's hot as hell in here. Wood stove is roaring, and I set it too high, and I'm like sweating right now. Bob's questioning, did I say washing machine? Yes, I have a washing machine on board. I found it on the side of the road and fixed it, and I really want to get it running because this island is entirely, like, for the most part, it's retirees with either a lot of money now or had some money back in the 70s and bought a plot of land here. So nobody, no young, impoverished people can afford to live on this island. And as a result, they've basically shut down anything that poor people would need, like a laundromat. So I have to go to Nanaimo to wash my laundry, and that's like a day-long trip to wash clothes. Luckily now I have enough clothes that it'd actually be worth it, but I'm really trying to not use it. So I'm trying to get some more environmentally sustainable and boat sustainable way of doing it. So how do you train your dog so well? Sorry, Chase wants to know how I train my dog so well. I think it's partly because I spend a lot of time with her. I take her with me everywhere, and there's like Joe verbalized it in a way that makes sense to me. So basically, you wait for them to do you ask them to do the thing that you want them to do. You wait for them to do that thing, and then you reward them with either, like, good girl, yes, good girl, or like the pet that they're looking for, or whatever they're looking for. Honey is very attention driven. Because she's a pit bull, she's like very affectionate and really driven on affection. Whereas Champ was very food motivated because he's a lab and he loves to eat. So I could use those things. Like if I was trying to get her to sit, I would wait till she looked like she was about to sit. I would say sit, she would sit, and then I reward that, being like, good girl. Now, luckily with Honey, I got a dog who was pretty much already very well trained, and well loved. So I really lucked out getting her, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, you're very, very affectionate. I know. Fiance wants to know. Okay, so Adrian's fiance wants to know what breed Honey is. Honey is a pit bull mix. just a couple of different pit bull breeds, bully breeds. So she's just like a lot of people say she's a Mexican, looks like a Mexican street dog. This is standard pit bull. This looks American Staffordshire uh, bull terrier. This is what they look like. There are various different breeds in the bulldog look. There's much bigger ones, wider across the shoulders, but she's got most of the characteristics of a regular pit bull. So this dog breed is banned in a lot of places. So just take that in mind. You know, this ferocious man-eating monster is banned. Like in Ontario, when I go visit family, I run a risk, you know, because this dog is banned because she's so mean and ferocious. I'm just a killer. How big? Dan wants to know how big my freshwater tank is. Not very big. I might expand it in the future, but I might just also build a doubly, like I might get a second water maker or some sort of backup water making system. I also want a water catchment system because keeping these boats light is a big advantage to how they sail. If I can do that by not storing any liquid diesel fuel on board and by not storing that much water on board and making my water every day off the solar power I get, then that's huge. So that might be a way that my boat would travel better, but that's something I'll have to like experiment with as I start moving the boat around, because you know, on a mooring buoy you don't really notice. So Bob wants to know how the batteries are holding up. I have had to bring a couple of them in for maintenance. I've got a maintenance station. Okay, sorry, I cut out there for a bit. I'll be going through that in my videos coming up. There's a little maintenance to be done. I have like a battery doctor kind of system, intense lithium battery system that allows me to like do a lot of this stuff pretty quickly. So, especially if we get a good chunk of rain, I'm just gonna be sitting up there in the shipyard building, sorting that out. Okay. Man, Dan, I'm getting all your questions, buddy. What length of the mast are you thinking? I wanted 45 foot from the keel. So the usable mast space, I think would be something like 33 feet or something like that. Which is really not very big, but that's because I'll be doing two of them side by side, and it's a conservative setup because I'm running mostly a motor sailor, right? I want to be motoring most of the time, sailing whenever the opportunity is perfect only, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm kind of planning for. But we'll see. It all depends on what I get. You could be a model for Zigzag brand, Edward says. What's Zigzag? Like the rolling papers? I don't smoke weed, so I don't know what that's about. Okay, Jolly is talking about the super chat thing again. Yeah, I don't know. Tune in. Check in a little bit. I'm gonna read through these comments afterwards. If super chat's something that you find easier than Patreon or easier than PayPal, and you want to support that way, I'll definitely do it. I'll set that up. I just didn't see that. I didn't see it. I saw it as I don't know. I'm not as good as Patreon kind of model. That's all. But it all depends on you guys, right? This is on you. Oh, Old German Steel wants to know if my photography business. Here's the problem with my photography business. I can't really run it on the island because I don't have any photography gear anymore. The camera I have, great. It's really great as a video camera. As a photo camera, it's not very like this. It's just not very good as a photo camera. It's passable. Like I can shoot stuff for Instagram, no problem. But I can't. We'll have to see. I want to get some more lenses for it, but I just keep spending my money on boat stuff instead of the camera. That's kind of why I'm like shooting something on a phone with like a million cracks on it and the phone's falling apart. I just don't care about that stuff right now. For me, the priority is like the boat. I would like to at least get like an ultra wide angle lens again, and then maybe open myself up to doing real estate again, because that was a good money maker for me. I made over like the 5 or 6 years I was doing that, I think just off real estate, I probably pulled in like 60 grand, so it's a good amount of money. And it's something I got really good at. I definitely shot well over 1,000 real estate shoots, a lot. So yeah, it must have been over 60 grand then, just in real estate shoots. Boy, my boy viciously ate my house and pulled most off my porch for fun. Do you have a date set for the first sale? DJ Illusion wants to know. Well, like a lot, like travel and a lot of things, all my plans have been thrown into a blender, so I don't have a date. I'm not going to go sail to Bahamas tomorrow, I'll tell you that much. But what I will be doing is sailing to the nearby island. I think before I leave this mooring buoy, I'm going to be taking the boat out into the channel, doing a little fishing, coming back in. Like you saw me do with Simon's boat, just last episode. I'll be doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, that would be the first sail. I get asked that a lot. Like, where am I going to sail to first? Just outside the channel and just see if it moves, and then a little bit further and a little bit further. And then as problems pop up, as like issues with the design pop up, I can modify, I can go to like Home Depot and get some plywood and just keep working on it. Van Life to Freedom is chiming in here about the super chat. Says YouTube takes about 60% of the super chat tip. Wow. Yeah, dude. For both of our sakes, I don't think, if that's true, super chat is not the way to go. Patreon's cut is way, way, way smaller than that. My last month, I think I made what was it, $850, and Patreon's cut was like 43 of those. So yeah, nowhere near 60%. Oh, Robert Webster and Boat Dude are both asking about these windows still, and they're under the illusion that the boat, it's just the corners, guys. It's just like right on the edge where like there's still air gaps there because I haven't figured out where the masts are going to go. The rest is all sealed to the cabin. Like, it's all one piece. Maybe you're also talking about these two windows aren't sealed up to where in the frames properly, and that's because the beam that's sitting in front of them, the beam is like in the way. The beam that's just like a temporary beam. I'm removing it, replacing it with a beam that's not as tall, and the lower beam is going to have clearance for those windows to actually open. So the two windows on the inside will open up and then cover the two other windows. And so your cockpit's going to be right in there, forward cockpit. You'd be sitting in an open air, steering the boat if you're on the port side, you're steering with your right hand. If you're on the starboard side, you're steering with your left hand. And the console in the middle will be the control. So you can either stand behind that console, control everything with the onboard computer and stuff, or sit in one of these bench seats and have a nice, 180-degree view and then 90-degree view up and down. Great visibility, very comfortable location. Great spot to be motoring the boat from. So that's the plan. And then having those windows open allows me to roll big things into the central cabin if I wanted to, electric motors, like an electric motorcycle or electric bicycle down the road. It also allows me to get a lot of airflow through here. So I would like to have this boat in warmer waters one day, and this would allow me to like basically cool my boat off like really fast without having to use air conditioning, which might be an asset if I was cruising around and using all my power to motor, right? So just stuff I'm thinking about. There was a mass about, oh, okay. Josie, can you hit me up on my email or on another message somewhere else with a link to that? I would love to look into that mass. Josie says, Jose says it's on Craigslist, so I'll have to look into that down in Comox. The beam's going to be lashed in or glassed in? No, they have galvanized steel lashings. So this is the old style. Later on, they moved to rope lashings, and those boats are more flexible. These boats, like the Oro, was much more rock steady, which is why I felt okay with continuing this cabin design, because the Oro just didn't flex as much as the newer designs do. So I don't know. It's going to be steel. Okay, Jake B wants to know about the tattoo on my arm. This is a 50 millimeter 1.8 from Nikon. It's the lens I love the most. It's a $50 lens, and this is the patent design for it. So I use that all the time in my profession. This is a little stick and poke camera tattoo. It's a rangefinder, which was my favorite camera at the time. And nowadays, I don't even have a favorite camera anymore. I mean, I've got some favorites. The one that I thought about with this one all the time was this is like a minimalist representation of it, but was the Kodak Retina 3C. Was a camera I used to own, and I just love that camera. It's incredibly complex piece of machining, beautiful, ornate, and you would wind it to rewind the film. Like you take a shot and you click this thing back, and on its release, it would make 7 separate clicking noises for different parts of the mechanism, all moving around. Like each of those clicks, it wasn't just like 7 notches on a belt. Like it was like lots of things were moving around. It was such a cool camera. They stopped making it in the 50s because it's too damn complicated. Glenn Edwards wants to know how much do YouTubers receive? Super chat payments can range between $1 and $500 each. YouTube takes 30% of the revenue, and this isn't considering any Apple service fees, tax, MCN cuts, or other charges. Wow. Yeah. That's it, man. Okay, well, Yoli. Okay, I'm gonna answer. Oh wow, have I caught up? Yeah, I have caught up. All right, wicked. Okay, there's 3 questions at the bottom. Robert, yours is the last. I'm not answering anymore after that, and I'm gonna sign off because I'm like an hour in here. What is the best item or tool you have bought for the boat? Jolly wants to know. That's a tough question. Best. I don't know, man. I think the one I use the most is either my DeWalt jigsaw or my DeWalt circular saw, or the DeWalt drill. Oh, tell you what. So those 3 are really good. Here's one that's an honorable mention or I should mention because a lot of people don't even look at these ones. This sander, it's just a made in China sander. It says Black & Decker on this one, but I've seen it with different names. I think it's just a factory in China turns these out. Best design sander I've used so far. And I've burned through 6 different sanders, 6 different belt sanders. This is the best. This sander is also one of the cheapest I've ever owned. I think it's $55. It's got this great point at the front, which allows me to get in and under things. The action is smooth. It's low speed but high grit. It's adjustable for when the belt starts tiring out. I can tighten this up, and it keeps working. It also works with the belt going both directions. And because this is such a tight rotation, when you get this gluey buildup from sanding things that aren't like completely rock hard, so say if you sand something that's got like, I don't know, some tar in it or whatever, this knocks it back off again. So most of the gluey buildup doesn't manage to make it around this corner and falls off and makes my sandpaper last a lot longer. So that's definitely one of my favorites. Let's put it that way. Okay, Edward wants to know, how do most liveaboards make money from their sailing? Edward, in this bay, there are 5 of us liveaboards here in this bay. 3 of them are shipwrights. Then there's me, and then there's Simon works at the shipyard. So basically, if you live on boats, you work on boats. Most of them, that's how they make their income. They're good with their hands. They're good at being resourceful, because living on a boat, you have to be resourceful. You cruise, cut out there for a second. Okay, sorry. I've yet to meet anybody who lives on a boat who works a normal job remotely. You don't know with the internet, as you saw. I just cut out on the internet, so it's inconsistent. And okay. Anyway. Oh, all right. Man, there's